Drone hits Putin's home peace talks on Brink. Zelensky denies, however, the date is December 30, 2025. Subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. I'm Alex. Join me with Aria in the latest Deep Dive by Defense Report for a sharp, no-nonsense breakdown of the latest in global defense news, military technology, and strategic developments. And today, we're going to cover, well, an event that is threatening to shatter the most fragile path to peace we've seen in a very long time.
This is a really critical moment. We are doing a deep dive into an alleged massive drone attack. Russia claims it involved 91 UAVs that supposedly struck deep inside their territory, targeting President Putin's very secretive Valdai residence.
And the timing, it's not just explosive, it's deeply suspicious. This is all happening right after what seemed to be the most successful round of U.S.-brokered peace talks yet.
Exactly. So our mission today is to cut through all that noise. We're looking at where the kinetic warfare meets, high-stakes information ops. We're going to unpack three completely conflicting stories. Russia calling it state terrorism, Ukraine saying it's a total fabrication, and the absolute chaos this is causing for the peace talks.
What are the facts and what's the strategy? Let's start with the shockwave from Moscow. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, he was the one to drop this bombshell.
He was. He claimed the attack happened on the night of December 28th into the 29th, and the target was Putin's state residence in Valdai.
And the scale they're claiming, it's just enormous.
It is. Lavrov didn't mince words. He said the criminal Kyiv regime used a swarm of 91 long-range drones. No, this isn't some pinprick strike they're describing. It's a major coordinated aerial assault.
91 drones, aimed at one of Putin's most secret locations. So according to Russia's official line, how well did their defenses hold up?
Oh, they claimed a perfect score. A total success. They said all 91 drones were shot down, no casualties, and this is the key part, zero damage on the ground.
And a perfect interception, which is, well, that's the military claim. Yep. But the geopolitical reaction was designed to be much more disruptive.
Absolutely. Lavrov immediately escalated the rhetoric. He flat out called it state terrorism.
And that came with an ultimatum, didn't it?
An immediate one. Russia vowed retaliation, basically said, we're going to reevaluate our position in the peace talks. The momentum from the talks just vanished instantly.
And the threat wasn't vague. He said targets for retaliatory strikes have already been determined.
Which puts everyone on edge. It signals a potential escalation that goes far beyond the current front lines. And to make sure the message landed, they took it straight to the top.
Right. Presidential advisor Yuri Yushakov said Putin himself called U.S. President Donald Trump about it.
And claimed Trump was, quote, shocked and outraged. They're building a very specific narrative here.
A very clear narrative. An act of terrorism requiring a massive response and a complete reset of any diplomatic progress. But that's just one side. Kyiv's response was, well, it was the complete opposite.
A flat, categorical denial. President Zelensky came out almost immediately and called it another lie by the Russian Federation, a complete fabrication.
He wasn't just denying it, he was assigning a motive.
Yes, and this is where you see the information war in action. Zelensky argued the whole story was manufactured to justify more strikes against Ukraine, maybe even Kyiv itself, and to deliberately sabotage the peace process.
The timing again. He pointed out this scandal dropped right after his successful meeting with Trump.
He did. He said Russia needed to manufacture a crisis to kill any momentum. And he warned that this kind of claim, it gives them a fresh pretext to hit government buildings in Kyiv again, like they've done in the past.
It sets the stage for a major escalation.
It does. And Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andrei Sybiha backed that up, urging the world to condemn these provocative Russian statements. He made a really important distinction, too.
What was it?
He stressed that Ukraine only strikes legitimate military targets inside Russia, and always in response to Russian attacks.
So this all comes to a head at the worst possible moment. The alleged attack happens right after the Trump-Zelensky meeting in Florida.
And the mood before this was so different. Trump was saying they were getting a lot closer, maybe very close to a deal.
He said the 20-point peace plan was, 95% done?
Exactly. They were talking about concrete things like 15-year security guarantees from the U.S. It felt like there was a real path forward.
And then came the phone call from Putin. Trump's public reaction seemed to just pivot on a dime.
It really did. First, he told reporters he was angry about the attack, saying things like, it's not the right time to do any of that. He called it a delicate period.
But then he was pressed on Ukraine's denial.
And that's where the ambiguity crept in. He said, you're saying maybe the attack didn't take place? It's possible too, I guess. but President Putin told me this morning it did.
And that little bit of doubt was all Russia needed.
It was enough. The devastating consequence is Russia immediately announced its negotiating position will be revised. They just walked away from the Florida agreements.
It's a full return to their maximalist demands.
It is. Putin has already confirmed they're pushing to seize all 4 of the claimed regions. So the alleged strike, whether it was real or totally fake, it gave them the perfect lever to reset the whole board.
Okay, so the politics are a mess, but when you start looking at the actual military data, the numbers that Russia itself put out, that's where the story really starts to get shaky.
This is where it gets fascinating, because there's a huge inconsistency right at the heart of their claim. Lavrov said 91 drones were aimed specifically at Valdai.
91. At that one target. But that's not what their own Ministry of Defense reported, is it?
Not at all. The MOD's official report for that same period said they downed 89 drones nationwide, across all of Russia.
Wait, so 91 were supposedly aimed at one location, but the total for the entire country was only 89.
Precisely. The math just doesn't work. And it gets worse when you drill down. The report says only 41 of those drones were even intercepted over the Novgorod region, where Valdai is.
So less than half.
Right. And local reports said only 18 of those were down before 7:00 a.m. So that massive 91 drone swarm seems to have just evaporated between the press conference and the actual military report.
And you have to think about how difficult a target Valdai actually is. We're not talking about some soft location.
Not even remotely. It's one of Putin's most secret residences for a reason. Satellite intel shows it is incredibly well defended against exactly this kind of threat. We're talking at least 12 dedicated air defense systems.
12. For one residence, what are they using?
Panzer S-1 systems. And they're not just on the ground. They're mounted on these specialized tall towers, which lets the radar see over the forest canopy to spot low-flying drones.
So it's custom-built to stop a drone swarm. The idea that 91 drones got through only to all be shot down at the last second?
It strains credulity. Which brings us to what Ukraine is actually capable of, because their deep strike capability is very, very real. The technology they're using is a serious threat.
Let's talk about the platform. This is the AN-196, right?
The Brink, which means fierce. It's their own domestically produced long-range UAV, and it was developed specifically to counter things like the Shahed 136.
And it's a serious piece of kit. The specs are impressive. It's got a nearly 7-meter wingspan, carries a 50 to 75 kilogram warhead, but the range is the critical part.
That's the key. Its operational range is between 1,000 and 2,000 kilometers. That puts a huge portion of Russia's most strategic assets. Military bases, industry, infrastructure, all within reach.
And we know it's effective, especially against their oil industry.
Incredibly effective. The Ludi is reportedly behind about 80% of the successful drone strikes on Russian oil facilities, and those attacks are estimated to have knocked 12 to 14% of Russia's entire refining capacity offline.
That is a staggering economic impact.
Yeah.
So if Ukraine has this weapon, how does it get past those advanced defenses we talked about? What's the secret?
The guidance system. This is the real technological leap. It uses an American-developed system called Skynote S. It's a machine vision system.
So it's not relying on GPS. It can see its way there.
Exactly. It uses AI to compare what its camera sees in real time with preloaded satellite maps. It can navigate autonomously even if Russia is jamming GPS signals, which is their main defense. It has, by some reports, boosted the mission's success rate from around 20% to over 90%.
A 90% success rate in a jammed environment, that is a game changer. So the idea of a 100% interception rate against that kind of tech seems highly unlikely.
It does, and it points to Ukraine's actual strategy, which has been very consistent. They are applying kinetic pressure on Russia's defense industrial base, the DIB, the network that fuels the war.
We've seen it time and again. The strikes on the Syzran oil refinery, that fuel pumping station in Vladimir Oblast.
And the Novonomysk Azot chemical plant. That one was huge. It's a key supplier of components for explosives for the Russian military. Hitting those nodes disrupts their entire war machine.
Okay, so let's put this all together, because this is where we get to the real information war twist, the part that puts this whole Valdai residence claim in a new light.
There's a coincidence here that is just too big to ignore. On the very same weekend, December 27th to 28th, Ukrainian forces confirmed a successful strike in occupied Crimea near Kornomorsk.
And what did they hit?
A high-tech Russian anti-drone radar system. Its name, the Valdai radar system.
Wait, so let me get this straight for everyone listening. Ukraine confirms they destroyed a key piece of Russian hardware called the Valdai radar. And then, less than 48 hours later, Russia claims a massive drone attack on Putin's Valdai residence.
That is the central question, isn't it? Is the Russian Foreign Ministry deliberately mixing up the verified and frankly embarrassing loss of their Valdai radar system with a completely unverified attack on the Valdai residence?
The confusion alone would be incredibly useful. It creates this narrative of victimhood, gives them a pretext to escalate, and lets them shift the terms of negotiation.
That looks like the strategic calculus. The net effect of this whole incident, fabricated or just wildly exaggerated, has been incredibly effective for Moscow's hardliners.
So what does that mean right now?
It means a nearly finished peace deal is in tatters. It lets Russia reset the whole conversation back to its maximalist demands, more territory, a capped Ukrainian military. And it gives them the perfect public justification for those retaliatory strikes on Kyiv that Zelensky warned about.
The entire diplomatic landscape just completely upended by a few conflicting press releases.
It is. It's pretty incredible. And it brings up a really provocative thought to leave you with as you watch this unfold. Well, the increasing range and sophistication of these drone strikes are changing the very nature of diplomacy. If a single unverified kinetic event, amplified by the information war, can instantly derail a high-level peace agreement, does the remote pilot now hold more sway over the path to peace than the diplomat at the negotiating table?
You've been listening to Defense Report by Alex and Aria, where we analyze the latest in military strategy, global defense, and advanced weaponry. Subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. We'll catch you next time.